Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. Jamie here today. Monday Night Raw predictions for April the 3rd, 2023. Coming off of 2 nights of WrestleMania, which we're going to get into. Night 1 was really good. Night 2, well, it had some moments up good and bad. But the main talking point coming out of WrestleMania, of course, Roman Reigns retaining against Cody Rhodes. And to be honest, I'm not mad. I was 10% sure Roman was going to win, but I didn't think they'd actually go through with it. But now he's definitely holding on for it for 1,000 days at least. And we'll get more into this later on, but he won the title at SummerSlam, so I think he might lose the title at SummerSlam. But we'll get all into that later on. And obviously the other big news as well, WWE has been sold. They're like parent company with UFC now. A lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. And of course, it's the Raw after WrestleMania, which has its own reputation. Tonight, I mean, there's nothing announced. We got rumored stuff, which we'll get into. But the past few years, Raw after WrestleMania hasn't really been special. I'm hoping tonight it sort of does. I'm not expecting like some huge major surprises or anything like that, but I'm hoping for something. And judging from the reaction online, I feel like Triple H is going to have to do something because, like I said, I'm fine with Roman winning, but it seems like a lot of people are not, which we'll get into in a bit, of course. But tonight's show, predictions first, and then I'm going to do the review of Night 1. I already reviewed Night 1 last night with Dylan, but I'll go through it again, and then we'll review Night 2 as well, because that just happened last night. I watched them both live here in the UK. Well, it didn't go off till 5 in the morning, man. I barely had any sleep. And last night, WrestleMania Night 2, we'll talk about it later, but they were killing time towards the end there, man. They could have easily had not Logan Paul, LA Knight. They could have easily had LA Knight come out and do a promo or something, but we'll get all into that later on. So yeah, let's just start with Raw predictions. Like I said, right now, nothing officially announced, but there's a few rumored stuff. And the first thing is apparently Triple H is going to start the show off with an announcement. And to me, this screams it's going to be about the sale, because WWE just was sold, weren't they? Like I said, we'll get into that later. So it's got to be either about the announcement of the sale or maybe something to do with the belts, because let's be honest, they do need to split these belts up a little bit. I know Roman's got the both Universal and what the fuck's it, WWE Championship. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have both tag team titles right now, but wasn't there supposed to be like a draft coming up or in a month or something, a draft? So maybe it's something to do with that. But the rumor is Triple H is going to start the show with an announcement. My guess, like I said, it's about the sale, but it could also be about the draft, title switching up, even a new title. Some people are saying they're going to introduce a new title. They ain't going to do that. What's the point? Roman's got 2 with him. He has to lose them. Like, you can't just introduce another belt and then everyone else fight for that. And it's like, well, this belt doesn't feel special already, does it? Because no one's beat Roman. But we'll get more into the Roman situation later. But apart from that, we got 2 other rumoured matches. Apparently, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the new tag team title champions after Saturday night, they're going to be facing the Street Profits. I don't know if this is confirmed, like I said, or not, but I could see it happening, because they're going to need contenders for the titles, aren't they? I'm guessing they might do a rematch or something at Backlash. That's going to be in Puerto Rico this year. Bad Bunny's hosting it. But I mean, this does sound like a Raw match to me. It is a 3-hour show after all, so they're gonna have to have some matches. But yeah, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Street Profits. You know Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are winning. They're not gonna lose after what happened on Saturday. Not the first match anyway. But you know, Street Profits are a good team as well. The only problem with WWE, the tag team division, like apart from, you know, Bloodline and Imperium, even though they're more groups, like the tag team division is kind of weak, but this match will be good if it does actually happen. Like I said, I could see it happening. And apparently the main event for tonight is Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes and a mystery partner. And you know, there's been rumors going around for a while that Randy Orton was supposed to come back, even though his back injury is supposed to be serious as well, so I don't know about that, but this does scream Randy Orton to me. Apparently Matt Riddle's going to be coming back as well, but that doesn't, I mean, I do like Matt Riddle, but he doesn't seem like a main eventer, like, you know, in that level right now. So it's gonna have to be like a surprise mystery opponent, like coming back, or even a debut maybe, or a call up from NXT. But I'm hoping we do get a few surprises tonight. Obviously we're probably gonna get a few NXT call ups because it is the night after WrestleMania. They're gonna need new opponents for people as well. But literally, I mean, it's kind of hard to do predictions for tonight's show and literally nothing's been announced. Let me check WWE.com one more time just to make sure, but I don't think they've announced anything. No, of course they haven't. Like I said, this is all rumoured stuff. But you know how leaks are these days. Like the match order for Mania came out a few hours before the show, so you know, I could see these matches happening. It's like it's unbelievable. But yeah, we may as well just jump into the review of WrestleMania, to be honest, because, well, actually, what else could happen on Raw tonight? Bianca Belair's still champion. They could rematch with Asuka, even though we'll get into that later. I really wish Asuka would have won. Like I said, night 1 was so much better than night 2. What else have we got? Rhea Ripley's the SmackDown champion, so I don't think we'll see her tonight. Gunther, same IC title. Austin Theory, he's gonna have a new feud set up. He beat John Cena. Cena's clearly not sticking around because of his filming schedule. Bobby Lashley, man, you need to do something with Bobby Lashley. We'll talk about it in a bit when he just brought him out just to wave at people of his trophy, and it's like, oh my god. Becky Lynch and Lita, I guess they're gonna do something like that. Shayna and Ronda won, didn't they, in the match, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, kind of Raw predictions. I'm just guessing like new stories are going to start up, new feuds, because Raw after WrestleMania has always sort of been that reset moment on it. So I'm expecting some new feuds, and obviously probably 1 or 2 rematches set up for Backlash as well, because, you know, WWE do love the rematches after all. It's not just a Vince thing, it does happen still. So we'll have to see about that, but this song always does me head in, so I'm going to skip this song. It's kind of hard to talk when you've got the beat. I mean, I guess I'll leave this one on, even though it's got words. Actually, you know what? I'm not. The words will just distract me as well. So yeah, WrestleMania night 1. Like I said, I had a review of this last night with Dylan, but we'll go through it again. It started off with Austin Theory beating John Cena. Austin Theory was in control for most of the match, and there was a ref bump. John Cena... No, Austin Theory tapped out, the ref didn't see it, and he did the low blow for the win. A lot of people dissing John Cena online because of this match, but it's like, what do you expect from him? Like, he's not going to do something risky and, you know, potential injury for his filming career, is it? I mean, it's John Cena anyway. Like, go back and watch any of his other matches. Like, you know, what were you expecting? I'm just glad we got to see him wrestle again. I wasn't expecting him to win unless he was sticking around, and clearly he's not. And, you know, it helped Austin Theory. He is the heel after all. Of course he's going to, you know, cheat to win. He's the bad guy. That's what bad guys do. And people are like, oh, he didn't put John Cena didn't put him over. It's like, he won the match. He's a heel. Like, what else are you expecting? Like, I know WWE, they're not perfect, right? And we'll get into some of the mistakes I feel like they made anyway, but this mentality online with some people where it's like, you can't admit when they're doing good. It's either you're fully with AEW or you're fully with WWE. It's like, both can be good, both can be bad. Like, it's not, you can admit when one's bad and one's good. It's not hard to do. Quincy, not right now, mate. You still got ages, so I'm not going out yet. So yeah, Austin Theory won the first match. From there, it was the Street Profits and the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. They won it. And to be honest, here's one of the things I didn't enjoy. I see people online raving about it, but to me, like me and Dylan said last night, these matches are always the same. You got 4 different tag teams in there, but only 2 wrestlers at a time inside the ring. Everyone else is just stood there, and it's just stupid. It's always the same spots, and you get the big tower spot, don't you, from the corner, and you always lose who's the legal people inside the match. So people are raving about this match online, but to me, it wasn't anything special. The next match was Seth Rollins beating Logan Paul. And the story we're trying to tell us at this match, like Logan Paul's got a screw or whatever inside his hand, and he's punching Seth, and Seth has to sell it like it's an actual weapon, and it's like, oh my god. He eventually stomps him on the stairs though, and Logan had his prime drink, then there someone was dressed up in that. It was revealed to be KSI. He eventually goes through the table because Seth pulls him onto it, and Logan does the frog splash through the table. Logan also did the GTS inside this match, which I didn't think he was going to do, but he did. But thankfully Seth won the match. And you know, I will give Logan credit. I don't like the guy, but he is, you know, for how many matches he's had, he is good at this. He is decent, but I don't like the guy, but I can admit that. And I'm glad that he's a heel. That's the role for him, because people love to hate him, so you may as well, you know, keep him a heel. But yeah, I don't know where Seth Rollins goes from here. Like, clearly, you know, we know Roman Reigns has won. Like, who's left for Roman? He never officially beat Seth Rollins inside his title reign, so they could come back to Seth versus Roman. But we'll talk more about that later. Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus beat Damage Control. I gotta be honest, man. Like I said, I watched this live in the UK. I was getting kind of tired at this point, so I didn't necessarily fully pay attention to all this match. But from what I could see, Lita still looked good for her age. Trish was, you know, not bad. And Bayley's still the standout of the group. And she's been teasing something new. I don't know if Damage Control split up tonight or where they go from here, but something has to change. Like, Bayley is really good. I could see Io Sky becoming a face, and I guess you keep Dakota Kai as a heel, but I don't know, man. I feel like this group's just not working, and maybe it's time to, you know, well, they've been around, what, it's not even been a year yet, has it? They debuted at SummerSlam technically last year, I don't know, man. I don't know where to go from here. But yeah, Becky Lynch and Lita are still champions. I'm guessing they might face Ronda and Shayna down the road when they're not injured, but we'll talk more about that later as well. Next match, we had Rey Mysterio beating Dominic. The build up to this match, man, oh my god, talk about storytelling. This was amazing. Like, you know, for months they've been screwing with Rey Mysterio, and Rey's like, no, I'm not going to hit you, you're my son, until finally he snapped and he punched Dominic and accepted the match. And his entrance, Rey Mysterio came out with Snoop Dogg, with the Eddie Guerrero type style. And then Dominic, they played the video of him being released from prison, and then he comes out, he's got the mask on and everything, but it's like Judgment Day themed. It was like purple and stuff. Like, oh my god, the change of Dominic from last year until now. Like, when they first introduced him, he was just Rey Mysterio's son, he was just happy to be there, and now look at him, man, he has really evolved. And you compare this to AEW, like someone like Hook, it's night and day, it really is. But this match was really good, just for the story itself. Like, the in-ring was great as well, don't get me wrong, but that's what wrestling is. You need a story, and this definitely had the story. Eventually, inside the match, Rey was spanking Dominic with the belt, and he went outside. He threw the drink in his sister's face. Then Finn Balor came out, and Priest like snuck a chain out with him. Then Dominic was about to use the chain. Bad Bunny's on commentary, by the way, Spanish announce table, and he stops Dominic from using the chain. Rey Mysterio wins, and I'm guessing this is the end of the story from Rey and Dom, unless they do a tag team match at Backlash, because like I said, Bad Bunny's going to be hosting it. I'm going to guess he's going to be wrestling on the show as well. So I don't know where to go from here. Judgment Day is really good, and we'll speak more about Judgment Day in a minute in this next match. But I am really enjoying them. I really am. I don't think they should split up yet, but especially with what happened to Finn on night 2, like, it's kind of hard to see where they go from here, don't they? Rhea's the only one who won, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is a great match. But yeah, Judgment Day, I wouldn't split them up just yet, but that's what I mean. It's an interesting time. Like, where do we go from here? In terms of quite a few stories, it's going to be interesting to see, especially on tonight on Raw. Let's see what they set up. But speaking of Rhea Ripley in the next match of the night here from night 1, no doubt about it. Should have been main event, to be fair. I know why it wasn't the main event, but Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte. Holy shit, one of the best women's matches of all time, no doubt. The crowd were behind Rhea, and you could tell they were both out there to prove something. Like, they wanted to be the main event, and to be fair, they should have, because Rhea won the Raw Rumble, and there is a story there because they did face each other a few years ago at Mania, and Charlotte won that. But I do understand, like Triple H said this at the press conference, like, the story is there with Kevin Owens and Sami, so I understand why. But either one of these matches could have been main event. But what a match this was. Oh my god, the suplexes Charlotte was selling, man. She nearly landed on her head as well. Bad landings, but this match, you know, a few close counts with a riptide until eventually she hit the riptide off the top rope. Great. Both women are really good inside this match. You gotta give credit to both of them. I'm just thankful Rhea's the champion, and let's see where we go from here. I'm guessing Charlotte, if they do this draft, she might go back to Raw and face Bianca Belair, because they've done that match once, haven't they? But I guess they could go back to it, because Bianca's another one. She's had the title for... We'll talk more about Bianca on night 2. I thought it was night 1. I got confused. But yeah, this match, if you didn't see it any of WrestleMania, I would highly suggest going back and watching this women's match. Rhea versus Charlotte was so good. It really was. Then after that, we had some stupid filler bullshit. We had The Miz and Snoop Dogg aside the ring, didn't we? Pat McAfee makes his return, but not for commentary. He has a match with The Miz and ends up winning, which is, you know, I do like Pat, don't get me wrong, but... You know, when you're watching this show live and it's already dragging, you're like, can we just get to the main event already? Like, this is whatever. And the main event was next for night 1. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat the Usos. It started off with Jay versus Sami, because that's where the story is, really. They were trying to hit the Usos splash. Quite a few super kicks throughout the match. Kevin Owens was put through the table. Close near falls as well. Until eventually Sami was the one who pinned Jay, which is, like I said, that's where the story is. And I'm, you know, thankful the title reign ended here. This was the only streak what ended, really, if you think about it. We'll get more into the streaks on tomorrow's night 2, but I don't know, man. Like, it was difficult to choose between these two matches, but I do feel like Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte was the match of the night, and it should have been main event. But the story was there, like I said, with these two winning, and, you know, where does it go from here with the Bloodline? Because when we watched this on night 1, you assumed the Bloodline are going to lose all the titles, but that wasn't the case. So I don't know, but the Usos are probably the best tag team in WWE right now. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are so talented. And look at the year Kevin Owens has had. Last year he main evented WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And now this year, main event tag team. This is the first tag team title match since WrestleMania 1, I think, as the main event won it. So, you know, he's had a great year. Same with Sami Zayn. Like, so you want about the Knoxville match. I loved it. I got the figures over there, man. But what a great year Sami Zayn has had as well. They really have. So yeah, night one overall, apart from that, you know, 4-way tag team match and the Pat McAfee filler thing, it was a really good show, night one, no doubt about it. Especially compared to night two, which we're going to talk about now, because night two, oh my god, night two was just... It had some ups, it had some downs, don't get me wrong, but let's just get into it, I guess. It started off with Brock Lesnar beating Omos, which of course Brock was going to go on first, because you know he's getting out of there. Omos was in control for the start of it, a lot of slams, but it's my problem with Omos, like, he just stands there, like, Brock has to go to him. I get it, he's a big dude and everything, and it's a sight to see someone being bigger than Brock, but, you know, this match didn't do much for me. 1 F5 to win, and then Brock was selling his back afterwards, but, you know, I guess it was an alright match. I won't go back and watch it again or anything like that, but, you know, whatever. Next match, they kind of followed the same format as last night, or the previous night I should say, because the next match was the women's 4-way tag, which I was not interested inside this match whatsoever. And literally Shayna got injured somewhere inside the match. She had one boot off, and Ronda was injured going into the match. Ronda does one move, the armbar, and they end up winning. So I'm guessing they're building these two up for the tag team titles, but if Shayna's injured and we already know Ronda is, when are you going to do that match? I don't know. But I guess it got a lot of them on it got a lot of them on WrestleMania, which I guess is the point. But this match, you know, whatever. They had Bobby Lashley come out with his trophy, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal trophy, and he's just waving at the crowd because, you know, Bray Wyatt was supposed to originally face Bobby Wanted, but whatever happened to Bray, I don't know. He's not on the show, and they couldn't find anything else for Bobby to do. Same with LA Knight. LA Knight was teasing he's gonna have an LA moment with LA Knight. He wasn't on the show. You couldn't have even had a squash match with him. You find doing squash matches, which what we'll get to later, Shame that man, but you couldn't find time for LA Knight, and this is all you could find for Bobby Lashley. That's what I mean. Like, you know, WWE's not perfect. It's, I'd say 90% of it I enjoy, but this is something like right here, like LA Knight, like what's going on, man? Bobby Lashley, same thing, like. You could have easily, especially later on, which we'll talk about, when you know, you're filling for time because of injuries and stuff. You could have easily rushed them out there for a 2-3 minute match or whatever, but, you know, guess it wasn't planned, so can't be doing that. Next match was the triple threat for the IC title, which Gunther won, which, you know, I'm glad that he won. I really wanted Sheamus to win, but it seems like Triple H loves his long reigning champions, because we had Bianca, Gunther, and Roman all win, and they've all been on streaks. Bianca won it last year, Gunther's had it over a year, and Roman's nearly on 1,000 days, so it seems like he didn't want to end any of the streaks there. But this match, this is probably match of the night for night two, no doubt about it. It started off with Drew versus Sheamus because they get Gunther outside the ring. Gunther was just chopping the shit out of him. Throughout the match until near the end, Sheamus hit 29 beats of the Baldwin or whatever it's called on Drew. Crowd just chanting along. You hit 29 in a row, man. Jesus Christ, that was crazy. He almost got the 3 count as well, but Drew pulls him outside the ring, and at that point they got me. I was like, oh my god, I thought that was it, because the camera work was great as well. You didn't see Drew at all until they pulled Sheamus outside the ring. Of course, them two keep fighting. Drew did a dive, Gunther did a dive off the top rope as well, until eventually Gunther powerbombs Drew McIntyre into Sheamus, powerbombs Drew again, and gets the win. So Gunther's still champion, probably the best IC champion of all time, to be honest, right now, especially with his streak going. But I thought this was the night, and we'll get into this later with the Cody Rhodes thing as well. Like, this should have been a night where you changed the title. It really should have been. Sheamus, I guess they could still build him up for that rematch. I don't see it happening at Backlash. Maybe Money in the Bank, because that's in London, that's close to Ireland. Maybe they do it there, but whenever Gunther loses his title, it has to be Sheamus. It has to be, man. I don't know when they're going to do it, but Sheamus has to be the one. He really does. Speaking of streaks, next match, Bianca Belair beat Asuka, which again, she's had the title for a year now. She won it last WrestleMania. And I thought this was the time for her to lose as well, because I do like Bianca. She is good, she's athletic, but where does she go from here? Like, unless they turn a heel or they do, I don't know, like, she's literally beat everyone. It's the same with Roman in a way. Like, who's left? The only person I can think of is Charlotte. You draft Charlotte to Raw and then Charlotte versus Bianca. I was to do a rematch with Asuka, but again, like, this was the time to do it if you were going to do it. But this match, it was decent, don't get me wrong, but it couldn't live up to Rhea versus Charlotte. Asuka went for the miss towards the end, but Bianca ducked out the way. And then she powered out the Asuka lock as well, and then the KOD, and then she won the match. So Bianca Belair still champion. Like I said, now going from here, who's the next challenger? If they don't do a rematch with Asuka at Backlash, who's next? Because I can't think of anyone right now who's going to be challenging her. Rhea Ripley's the SmackDown champion now, so you can't do that match. So I'm not too sure, man. But speaking of stuff that didn't need to happen, we had The Miz and Snoop Dogg inside the ring again, just like a repeat of the first night. You know, they're going back and forth on the mic, and then Snoop's like, oh, here comes trouble, or whatever. He points to the entrance stage. Here comes the money, starts playing. Here comes Shane McMahon, of all people. When they said they had surprises for WrestleMania, I was not thinking Shane McMahon was going to be one of them, and that's not a good thing. I wasn't shocked in a good way. I was like, Shane McMahon, really? The guy who Vince got rid of because of that Royal Rumble a year or two ago. Now Shane McMahon's back, comes out to the ring, is going to have a match with The Miz. He throws those punches what go absolutely nowhere. About to do a leapfrog, so you know he's going to jump over The Miz, and he blows out his quad. Literally 10 seconds into the match. Like, you know, I feel sorry for Shane because that's a devastating injury, obviously, but that's just a sign right there. It's cursed. It's like, why'd you bring him in? And then something like this happens 10 seconds in. So, you know, they're trying to call on the fly, they're zooming in on The Miz, they're not showing Shane. And then fair credit to Snoop Dogg, he comes inside the ring, punches Miz, because he's trying to figure out, you know, he's like, oh, Shane's clearly hurt. I'm guessing the plan was for Shane to beat The Miz, and then Snoop Dogg comes in and attacks him as well, because he also did the people's elbow, if you want to call it that. But you gotta give credit to The Miz and Snoop Dogg for doing the audible there, you know, thinking on the fly and stuff like that. And I hope Shane's going to be alright, clearly. You know, he's tore his quad. That's a devastating injury, like I said. But at the same time, it's like, that seems like that's cursed, man. That's a message right there to me, anyway. It's basically saying, why, of all people, are you using Shane McMahon when you got Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, people like that who could have been on this show? But he wasn't. I mean, Bobby was on it for waving for 5 seconds or whatever, but an actual prominent role on the show, and you choose Shane McMahon. People online are saying because of the sale that happened today, Shane was only on there. It was a Vince move to try and get, you know, a McMahon on the show for one last time. Because let's be honest, like, Shane's not getting any younger. Vince is definitely not wrestling again. Stephanie's probably not going to wrestle again. So maybe that's what they were planning, but it all went to shit. It all went to shit. So what can you say? Next match after that was the Hell in a Cell match. Edge beat Finn Balor, which surprised me. Edge's entrance was cool. He had Slayer playing him out then in the music or whatever. He had this mask, which was pretty sick, but then he just took it off and he was normal Edge. And it's like, well, you could have went with one or the other. Either you'd Edge or you Brood. Like, the mix of him seemed weird to me. And then Demon Finn Balor came out. He had the purple, like, you know, paint on and stuff like that. And this match, at least it was a normal Hell in a Cell. It wasn't the red Hell in a Cell. But of course, you know, they had to have the colour gimmick somewhere, didn't they? So the weapons have all got, you know, there's red chairs, there's purple kendo sticks. And at first I was like, is it a rule? Like, do you have to use your own colour? Like, Edge uses red and Finn uses purple, but he didn't stick to that, thankfully. He trapped Finn inside the Hell in a Cell with the kendo stick so he couldn't get out. And this is the spot of the match, which was unintentional, obviously. Edge throws a ladder at Finn, and it smacks his head right there, gushes him up, and you've seen the photo on Twitter, I think Finn posted, massive gash, man. It looked crazy. So of course they're not filming Finn because he's getting attention, and of course the AW glue eaters online, why didn't you show the blood? Oh, WWE AW shows the blood every single week. It's like, it's not about that he's bleeding, it's about the injury. He could have easily been concussed. He could have bled out. He might not have been able to see there was that much blood. It could have went inside his eyes. So, you know, the stapling his gash shut, and they gave him a nerve, I mean the syringe, didn't they, to stop the pain or whatever. So of course they're not going to show that on TV. They're not going to show, you know, him getting stapled on TV or getting syringed inside the head. So I understand why they shot around it, and Edge was going around the ring looking for weapons and stuff, trying to buy time. But still, like, I understand why they stopped it. I really do. At least the match carried on when Finn was better. But you gotta put the health of the performance first, man. You really do. Like, it's different than, you know, blading yourself on purpose, intentionally getting the blood. This was a massive gash that wasn't a part of the match. It was not planned. So of course you're gonna stop the match and see how he is. That's just what you should do. And you know, Finn was alright afterwards, and they carried on the match, and he seemed, you know, he didn't seem concussed or anything. So hopefully he's alright. But oh, this is what pissed me off, and it pissed the people inside the arena off as well. I didn't mention when the match first started, they had the Pope's Exorcist ad playing, and he had Russell Crowe in character, like, you know, doing the voiceover. And halfway through the match, they cut to the massive wide shot at the very top of the stage, the stadium, and they do an advert. They do a little banner, an ad for the movie, and the crowd starts booing as well, because it's like you're advertising in the middle of a match, which they were doing throughout the show. I understand how they made 20 million on adverts now, because they had it on like the LEDs outside. Matches were presented by certain companies and stuff like that. So fair credit to him, I mean, you know, getting that money, but still, like, halfway through a match, I don't know, man. Eventually, Finn jumped off the middle of the Hell in a Cell through a table, but he missed because Edge moved out of the way. And then Edge gets the concerto going, you know, with the two chairs, smacks Finn, and it's over, which surprised me because I love Edge. Edge's one of my favorites, don't get me wrong. I do like Finn as well, and it's like, Edge is only going to be doing this another year or two, maybe even less. Finn Balor really needed this win. He really did. I know Rhea Ripley won. Dominic lost as well, though, so Rhea's the only one who won from Judgment Day. But let's be honest, like, Finn did need this win, especially being the Demon after last year against Roman, when, you know, the top rope broke and everything like that. We didn't see the Demon since tonight. But Finn really did need this win, and this is one of the things I disagree with. I feel like Finn should have won, because it's not, I mean, like, people say, oh yeah, Edge got revenge, but he got the revenge last month. Him and Beth beat him inside the mixed tag, so that, you know. But I guess this story is over now. We'll have to see whereabouts to go from here with the Judgment Day, which is a common theme with a lot of these stories tonight on SmackDown. We're going to see, like, you know, where the story goes from here. And then from here, like I said, they were killing a lot of time. Like, they replayed Seth Rollins' whole entrance. They were playing a lot of adverts. It's like, why not just send LA Knight out there? Why not send Bobby Lashley out there? Why not do something instead of all this? But, you know, it was like 10-15 minutes of killing time. And at this point here in the UK, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. But then we finally got to the main event. The main event of the entire show, which ended in a shock because Roman beat Cody Rhodes. Like I said before the stream, I was 90% sure Cody was going to win, but it was a small part of me who thought Roman would. And to be honest, it didn't piss me off. At first, I was shocked, but at the same time, it's like Roman's on this run right now. How many days is he on? 943 or whatever. He's that close to 1,000. Jamel's do 1,000 at this point. But I can see the other side of the argument as well, because this is WrestleMania. You're not going to get Cody any more over than this. But to counterpoint that, I'd say it was the same thing with Drew McIntyre last year. People said, oh, this is Drew's time, Drew should win. He didn't win, and it's like, oh, well, Drew, you know, that's it. And then it happened the same thing with Sami Zayn last month. People like Sami Zayn should be the one, and I was one of them people as well. But, you know, they've done it 3 times now. They've built people up and made us believe they're going to win. So they could do it again, but my only issue is like, who's next? Roman's beat everyone. The only person he hasn't beat is Seth Rollins, technically, because that was a DQ during this title reign. He's beat everyone else. So unless they're keeping the title on Roman until next year's WrestleMania, which I hope they don't do, I don't know whereabouts to go from here. But yeah, into this match, Cody Rhodes did his entrance. You know, the crowd was singing along with the woes and stuff. It was really loud. He gave his weight belt to Brody Lee Jr., who was at ringside, which was a cool moment. And that belt came into play later on as well. This match was kind of long, so I'm not going to go through every little detail, obviously, but Cody was slammed on the ramp. Solo was there at ringside. He used the chair without the ref seeing. He got involved quite a few times inside this match. Roman got put through the announce table. Solo uses the belt, so I'm guessing he got it from Brody Lee Jr. And, you know, he smacks Cody with it. The referee hears it and kicks Solo out. From there, we're getting a lot of close kickouts, like spears and crossroads and stuff like that. Which, you know, credit to Cody, he did kick out one of the spears. Roman puts the guillotine on, you know, the arrest holds, the submission, trying to get Cody to tap. And Cody's the first person, I think, to break out of it. He powers out of it. So the crowd are going crazy at this point until the Usos come out and they start attacking Cody. They do the 1D. And then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out to even the odds. At this point, you're watching it at home. You're like, oh my God, right, this is going to be the moment. Cody's going to win. They clear the ring of the Usos. Stunner to Roman by Kevin. Haluva kick by Sami. The ref slowly crawls inside the ring. 1, 2, very slow. Roman kicks out. That was the moment there I thought Cody was winning this, and Roman kicked out. I was like, okay, where are we going from here? So Cody eventually hits 2 crossroads in a row. He's going for the 3rd. Solo comes back out again, hits him with the Samoan spike. Roman hits the spear. 1, 2, 3. Roman's still champion. Everyone was shocked. Everyone. But like I said, I'm not completely pissed off with it because Roman's on this run right now. Get him to 1,000 days, I should say. But my only issue is, like, who's next? That's the only issue. So I'm curious to see whereabouts to go with it. Because I'm sure Triple H has got a plan. I'm sure they planned out. It's not like they're writing it now, like, oh, where do we go from here? I'm sure before they made the decision, we're like, well, you know, Roman wins, but then what? And looking at the roster, like, who's left? Like I was saying before, apparently Randy Orton's supposed to be coming back. I guess that gets you a month at the most, maybe 2. Randy Orton versus Roman, maybe, I don't know, but I ain't gonna get you all the way to SummerSlam. People are saying Jey Uso as well, which, you know, there is a story there, but I just don't see Jey Uso becoming Universal Champion. I really don't. Jey Uso's great, I do like him, but I just don't see him. He's a, you know, I just don't see it happening. I really don't. So then who's left? Like, do you build Cody back up again for SummerSlam, which, you know, you could do? And, you know, I mean, that's the thing as well. People need to remember, like, Cody only just got put into this after winning a Royal Rumble. Like, there's a story there of winning the title his dad never did. But in terms of him and Roman, like, there was more argument for Sami Zayn winning because he's been around longer with Roman. So maybe to build Cody back up for SummerSlam, which, you know, I see the criticism online. I do agree with some of it. Like, that was the moment last night to do it. You're not going to get Cody as over as that. Like, you know, people still like him, obviously, but that was the moment. So I'm fine with Roman winning. It's just, where do you go from here? It's the question. Like, I don't understand. I'm hoping we get answers tonight, but maybe we don't. Because I feel like the next pay-per-view, it might be a 6-man tag. Roman and the Usos are Solo versus Cody, Kevin, and Sami. That's what I feel like they might be going. Maybe Roman doesn't even defend the titles on the next pay-per-view. So a lot of intrigue for tonight on Raw. I'm looking forward to it to see whereabouts they go. Also, we got the big news as well. WWE being sold to the Endeavor company, merging with UFC. They made a lot of money from it, didn't they? So I'm okay with it as long as they let, you know, Triple H keep running it. They don't force Vince back in there, and they keep the network / Peacock thing going after the contract runs out, because people aren't going to be paying what, it's $60 in America, in it, £20 over here every single month for a pay-per-view after being able to get it for $9.99 with everything else, all the old content. Like, people just aren't going to do that anymore. So I'm hoping it doesn't lead to them, you know, adapting to that pay-per-view type mindset, because I'm not paying that much every month. I don't think a lot of people will either. Let's see if anything new has been announced for tonight. That's just the thing, I don't think they will. We know Triple H is probably going to kick off the show with an announcement, but that's not been confirmed either. So we'll have more to talk about next week, of course, because next week, you know, we'll be reviewing last week's, well, this week's. It's kind of hard to talk about in future tense, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think there's anything else, really. So I might end it early tonight because, you know, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. There'll be a lot to talk about next week, I'm sure about it. So let me know your thoughts and predictions thoughts and review on WrestleMania night 1 and 2. Hopefully Raw's a good show tonight. I'm gonna end the stream there. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're new. Be live again on Wednesday with Dylan for AEW Dynamite. Until then, peace out.